Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Sagacity. Today we have Igor Santos from the Federal University of Uberlândia. Igor's PhD is in applied immunology and parasitology. Igor, welcome to Sagacity. How are you today?
Hello, Madara. It's really nice to be here. I'm very good and excited to have this talk with you guys.
Oh, I'm very excited to ask all the questions I have for you today. So let's start with what your PhD is in and tell us a little bit about your thesis and the purpose of your research.
So guys, I'm from the program of Applied Immunology and Parasitology, and I have a focus in virology. I have been working with identifying antivirals, so molecules that can be used as treatment for treating emerging viruses, mainly the neglected ones like Zika virus, chikungunya virus, Madara virus, and now SARS-CoV-2 due to this emergency, even though it's not neglected. And I've been working since 2020 with this specific, my PhD, but I've been working with virology since I was an undergraduate. So I've been working for now 7 years with virus. So it's been a really nice thing. And my thesis, the title of my thesis is identifying metal complexes, which are different new kind of compounds that can be used as a treatment. So they associate the metal ions from the periodical table and associate them with compounds like organic compounds or synthetic compounds and make new molecules with a better activity. So I've been screening these molecules against chikungunya virus, Madara virus, and SARS-CoV-2. That's my thesis.
Okay, thank you so much, Igor, for that introduction to your PhD thesis. Tell us a little bit about the contribution this research is going to have in the society at large.
So my research is called basic research. So we do the initial findings. So we identify from broad of molecules, like from libraries of 1,000, 2,000 compounds, and we screen them against different viruses, and then we take the hits so they can be used for further assays to try to identify mode of action and see if they can be capitalized as a treatment for any of the diseases. So my research is basic, the initial steps to identify new treatments, new pills, new drugs that can be used in clinical. So my work is the initial step of discovery. So when a pharmaceutical company releases a new medicine, for example, we have Paxlovid that was used for SARS-CoV-2. It came from basic research, which is what I do. So we screen different molecules, and then we go for next steps like in vivo assays. So we use animal models. Then we go for non-human primates. So we have another step, and then we go for clinical trials, phase 1, 2, and 3. So my step is like picking up the best molecules so they can go to the next steps. So we can actually help people not suffering with all of these diseases. We don't need to talk about SARS-CoV-2 because, well, we all live the pandemic, but we also have a lot of neglected disease, which is a big problem from tropical and subtropical countries like Brazil, which I'm from. And these viruses are transmitted by vectors like Aedes aegypti and albopictus. And having a treatment, having possibilities that can actually help people to not suffer with the symptoms and the consequences of this virus, which is like we had problems with Zika virus with the microcephaly in 2015. We had problems with chikungunya virus, which people develop a chronic disease that can last for 2 or 3 years or more, and people have to actually stop working because of that. So my work is directly applied. It's a basic research, but that can be applied to clinical trials to help people.
Wonderful. I wanted to talk a little bit about how you got to doing a PhD in this area. Tell us about previous experience that you have in the field before you started the PhD.
So I started in the lab that I'm right now, which is the Laboratory of Antiviral Research in 2016 when I was doing my undergrad. And here in Brazil, we have a scientific program for people as undergrad students, and they offer you like a small scholarship so you can start doing some research. And when I was already looking for labs to go in to start, because my undergraduation was in biomedical sciences, so I was always in love with science and I was always passionate about it, but I didn't know if I was going to go for more of the immunology area or to go for like pathogens, infectious diseases. And then when I had my classrooms and my seminars about virology, I was completely in love, and that was the lab that I was available. And the researcher, which is the PI, is a very nice woman, and she's amazing, and she made me fall in love more with the science. And then I did 3 years of the scientific initiation, which is what the name is called. And I did after that my master's in the same lab in applied immunology and parasitology with focus in virology. So I developed all of these initial steps in virology until like I definitely decided in the middle of my master that I definitely wanted to do a PhD, because I always want my focus is try to help people. I love this part of doing science, because I think science is more for helping people than helping ourselves directly. Of course, we're going to build our knowledge, build our curriculum, but it's also try to find new results, new data that can be helpful for the community in overall. And then I decided like if I want to do that, I definitely need to have a PhD. And I was in a very nice lab, and I had a program which this program that I'm currently enrolled in. It's a very good program in Brazil, and they offer scholarships, PhD scholarships. So you don't need to apply for it. You just need to do a little some exams, and we can talk about later. But it's a very nice way to go through the graduate program, and then that's why what I had as an experience before I went to the PhD.
So you said that you realized you wanted to do a PhD in the middle of your master's. Did you finish your master's program and then go into a PhD, or did you fast track?
Yeah, I finished my master's program. I did the master's program. I know that there is some difference between countries, but the master's program here it takes 2 years maximum, but you can have your viva or your defense in 1 year and 3 months, which was what I did. So it was in the beginning of the pandemic when I was in the middle of my master's, and I took the opportunity because they had scholarships that were available. They were not going to be used, and if they are not going to be used, the government was going to take them back. And my supervisor said, like, if you want to apply, we can finish very quickly this part and go through your PhD. So it was what I did. It was like a very good opportunity. I was lucky and opportunity at the same time, but I already had enough data to finish and have my defense. So yeah, I did finish it. I did finish it very quickly before the date that was supposed to be, but it was actually a good thing because I got to start my PhD faster.
So you talked about how you prepared for doing a PhD since your undergrad. What about other things that you may or may have not done? For example, did you do a lot of lab work? Did you have lab experience, publications, or a lot of presentation experiences? What was the experience that actually allowed you to get into a PhD program?
Okay, for my undergrad, I didn't have any publications so far, but I did go to some congress, some conferences, presenting some of my the work that I developed. The work that I developed was with the human papillomavirus, which is a very endemic virus in the world, but I didn't get like very positive results. All the screens that I did against this virus was negative. None of the compounds I screened was active against it, but it was still data, and then got me through. I had an experience to work with cell culture, virus infection, using plasmids, transfection methods in cell culture, and that helped me get into my master's. So I did decide to go to the master's here in the program, you have to go through an exam. So we have some questions, you have to respond that. It's to answer is about immunology, parasitology, and microbiology. So you have to have a basic knowledge in these 3 areas. Of course, they supply you with a reference so you can study. But yeah, and you also have like another section of this exam with like a curriculum-based point. So if you have presentations in conference, you have talks in conference, of course, if you have a published manuscript, or if you have this scientific initiation, which I had. I was able to do 3 scientific initiations during my undergrad. So that built a basic curriculum so I could go to my master's. And during my master's, I was able to publish 2 articles. Was a review article talking about SARS-CoV-2 because it was in the beginning of the pandemic. It was a very fortunate publication because most of the citations I had is related to that article. So I had like more than 250 citations in this article. So it's a very good point for it. And then that helped me to go through my PhD because I had like 2 publications. I had this talks in conference. I had the data to finish my Viva. So yeah, I had to build this knowledge step by step, like getting to work with cell culture, doing my essays, working in a lab, meeting people, and going through the process of learning how to do the questions properly and talk about the essays you're doing, the problems you're having, because science is very difficult. We not always get the results that we wanted, especially us that work with biological systems. Is not always what we want, is what it is, and we can change it. So yeah, it's working with science. That was like the experience I had to learn.
I wanted to talk a little bit about the process of applying to your PhD program. You can make it as specific as you like in terms of what is required for your university, or you can also talk about what is required overall in Brazil if you have that knowledge about requirements.
Well, I had 2 experiences during my PhD. One was before I start my PhD, so I had to apply for it, and I had another opportunity which allowed me to go to the University of Leeds in the UK, which was a program inside of the PhD program. So I'm going to talk first about how I got to the PhD and then how I got to that scholarship. For the PhD scholarship, here in Brazil is a little different. Of course, if you have a PI that have like a grant or an award, you can have a scholarship related to that. But normally the graduate programs, they offer you scholarships. So it's related to the graduate program, not necessarily to the PI. And what I did was taking this exam, which is like a written essay. They send you some questions. I took them online because it was during the pandemic. So they send you by email and you have like 4 hours to answer all the questions. And normally it's related to a published article in a high-impact journal like Nature, Science, Cell, and you have to answer these questions and give them back after 4 hours. Then goes through a evaluation process. It's corrected by 2 or 3 reviewers, like a submission of a manuscript actually. And then if you pass through this, you go for also the curriculum-related points. So you have like a table and you put all of the things that you did. And for example, if you have a published article, you earn like 2 points. And if you have a talk in a conference, you're going to have like 0.5 points. And then you can start building up because you have like certificates about going to conferences. Or for example, you have the published manuscript, so you can send them together. So you put the table, the punctuation that you think you have, and you attach your certificates of everything, and then you submit to them. Then you have to wait for about 2 weeks, and they give you like an answer if you were accepted or not. So it's quite a little different because from experience I had with people from other countries, you have to apply for it as well, and it's more related to the PI and in going through a process than what we have here. And we also have, it's a nice thing to have in Brazil, we have scholarships for masters and also PhD. So it's a very nice thing to talk, because I know some other countries have to pay for the masters. But the masters and the PhD go through the same process of the curriculum-based points and also the exam. Or of course, the exam for the PhD is a little more difficult than the masters because they actually think you have to have some knowledge, more knowledge, since you already probably have a master's for it. Then I went for another after 2 years in my PhD. Government opened a call for internationalization process, which is called CAP Sprint, and I applied for it. So it offers you a scholarship for 6 to 12 months to stay in an associated country to the program, which UK was one of them. And we already had some collaborations with Professor Mark Harris from the University of Leeds. So I wrote a basic project, all in English, propose a schedule of activities, explain. They have you have to produce a project explaining what you're going to do, and also you have to answer some of the questions they ask you that go to evaluation inside of the graduate program. And if they think it's a very good project, they submit to a second evaluation, which is inside of this CAPS, which is the program, the internationalization program. And after that, if you think it is, they pay you for the tickets to go, for outgoing back, pay you for a monthly scholarship, which is like £1,300, which is an okay scholarship. Pay health insurance. Also, they help you with like the first month there, so they pay you like another scholarship for you to settle in. So it's a very good program, and I got to go to the University of Leeds and met the United Kingdom, which was like another change in my life, changing completely what I did in my PhD, which allowed me to work with SARS-CoV-2, which is a BSL-3 virus, which needs a more contained room, which we don't have a lot of them here in Brazil, and was more accessible to go in the UK. Yeah, that was the 2 ways. All of here in Brazil, we have to go through exams of application process that go curriculum-based and project or an exam. It's basic related to that. We don't have another type of evaluation as other countries.
Okay, I have a follow-up question on that. So when you said that you have an exam to go through to get into the PhD program, you mentioned that if you have a publication or conference presentations, you get certain points. What are other components or aspects that you get points on?
Publications, participation in conferences. If you have a patent, which is like a documentation for like you discover something, that counts. It counts if you have like scientific initiation. If you have a master's degree, it does give you a point as well. And if you have any type of it's more related to like if you have been going to a lot of conference, and if you went to a conference, it's like 0.2 points. And if you went to a conference and you presented some work, even if it was poster or oral presentation, it gives you 0.5 plus 0.2. So it's more related to that. I don't remember more of the what was called, what they if you have been awarded of like anything like a grant, or if you won like the best poster, best oral presentation, you also give points on that as well. So it's like a very meritocratic. I don't know if that's the word. It's earn-based points. So if you have been given it, if you're doing it, you're going to be receiving points for that. And what I didn't explain as well, why we have these points. After you finish, you have the points of your exam and the points of your curriculum. They put them together and they do a classification between people that were doing the exam as well. And if at some point the program has more students that pass to the exam, then the scholarships goes to the people that are in the higher positions first, than to the ones that are in the bottom of the list. And also the best, we have different types of foundations that offer these scholarships to the graduate programs. So also these foundations, they are better. Some of them help the scholarship is higher, some of them is lower. So you also rank them because people that has more points earn the best scholarships as well.
Okay, so if there's someone at the bottom in terms of ranking, let's say at the very bottom, but they get into the program, and so what about scholarships then? Do they have enough funding to cover the entire program, or do they not? Should they have to apply independently?
What we had, we thank God, so far our program has always been having enough scholarships to cover everybody that's applying. Some of them we have like some calls to enter the PhD that there's no one actually apply for it, so the scholarship stays there. But my program is like one of the best programs in Brazil. It has a ranking between 0 to 7. It's a 7 points based program, so it's like the higher classification. And if it happens that someone it's in the bottom of the list and doesn't have any scholarship, a person can start the program. It doesn't have as many responsibilities because it is not receiving a scholarship, so it has less presence in the labs. What we do normally have the person is going to have less presence in the lab because it will be allowed to work in another company, for example. And after, if someone finish the PhD, the scholarship comes back, so it's transferred to the next one in the list. So after like 3 months, it's probably going to be available another scholarship, so it passes to the next person in the list. That is it, like a waiting list. So at some point you're going to receive it. It's not going to take probably more than 6 months, but the person can start the PhD with say 6 months, do like the courses and the seminars and the topics very slowly. So then when it starts to receiving the scholarship, it continues like more focus on it.
Okay, very different compared to my experience in applying to the PhD. Let's talk a little bit about the structure of your PhD program. So for example, I always tell this to my guests. Mine was first year, take courses, and then I have comprehensive exam, thesis proposal, and then thesis defense. What's the structure of your program?
Okay, we have a credit as well, based program. So we have 72 credits. We have to do 72 credits of with what they say is the topics. So we have like several topics in seminars, and you have to go through that. And it's like very short courses, like 2, 3, 4 weeks that you have like classes, and you present some seminars, you present some articles, have some discussions in a selected topic. And if it's like the bigger the topic, more points, more credits it has. So for example, we have like 3 mandatory topics, which is immunology, parasitology, and ethics and biostatistics. So these topics are mandatory. You have to do it. And for example, immunology and parasitology, they take both of them 2 months, and they give you, I think it's 8 credits each. But for example, ethics and biostatistics, which is 4 months, gives you four credits. And then to achieve the 72, you have to take election topics. So you have to elect some of them to do, and you don't have to do the 72 credits in the first year. If you want, you can spread them between your 4 years. The important thing is you have to finish all of the 72 credits for you have to have your defense or your viva. So if you can spread them in the 4 years, but most of us, I did, and like all of the other 10 graduate students in my lab, we took the first year and then we took all of the 72 credits. So we conducted more slow research in the lab, but we did all of the credits. So we can have like the 2 and the 2 years next, like only doing research, like freely doing research, you know? And also that you have to do teaching internships. So you have to, with UPI, during a semesters, you have to give some inside of his classes in the undergraduate courses, you have to give classes in a topic, do theoretical and also practical courses with him. So he teaches you like how to proper give a classroom to teach and everything else. So it's more related to that.
Okay, and so do you have proposed your thesis before you defend it, or?
We have qualification. So in the PhD, I think it's in the half of it. So after 2 years, you need to do do. After 2 years and before the 6 months before your thesis defense, like your viva, you have to do your qualification. So it's a process that is going to tell for the graduate program that you are conducting a good research. They are not based like if how is your data going, but if you're trying to do it and how it's if it's going to at least give you like some work at the end. So you do that process and then you submit your thesis 30 days before your viva, and then you have like a panel of reviewers. Like it's your PI and four different professors, and you present it, like you do like a slide presentation of all of your data and explanation, and then you go to your debate with the reviewers and try to explain what you did, your results, and then going to suggest you some stuff that you can get better or try to resolve in your thesis, and then you can submit it to the library.
Igor, let's talk a little bit about some of the personal experiences you had during the PhD. What are some of the challenges you've encountered since you first considered pursuing a PhD and during?
Well, first, I'm based actually in a developing country, so we have several problems with funding for research. So sometimes it's frustrating because you go to the lab, you try to do research, and sometimes you don't have enough reagents. You don't have, even though we have like my PI, she tries to do everything, and normally she gets to buy the things, she finds a way, but at the end, it's also frustrating because different from when I was in the UK, if you need to buy something, you buy it and arrive in 2 or 3 days, and here we have to wait for 2 or 3 months. So that was a little frustrating during my PhD. And also, I had a very difficult process in trying to find the balance between the work I've been doing and having like a social life, family life, leisure, and it did impact my health. So I have some mental problem, health problems. I did develop like several pain in my stomach because of the stress. So that was like a personal challenge during the PhD. But then that was the hardest because you want to be productive. That's what gets me. You want to produce more. You want to be recognized by your work, and the more you do, the more you see, more you're going to be seen. But then I had a very nice talk with my PI, which is a very reasonable person, and she explained for me that it's very nice to be like that, but it's also very harmful for yourself. And she told me like you don't need to do all of that and force yourself to be working that hard, because you're going to get there. It's going to take the same time if I'm forcing myself, because if you're forcing yourself that much, you're going to have physical and health problems. They're going to slow you down. So if you're doing like in a very good pace, you're going to get there. So that was the personal experience, like the bad side of it. But it was because I'm very workaholic, so it's like my experience. But I'm completely in love with what I do. I don't want to do anything different. If people say like, if you could go back and choose something different, would you do it? And I always say no, because I lived the best years of my life, in the PhD, because it got me a good scholarship. It got me opportunity to travel, to meet people, do network, and actually do research, which is something that I'm very passionate about discovering things. So yeah, there is a bad side of it, but if you can balance it, it's definitely going to be a smooth and very nice process.
Of course. Thank you so much for sharing that personal experience. And I 100% agree with you. Finding that balance can be tough in the beginning because it's so overwhelming, right? You have so many things to do, and you're excited too that you got into this PhD program and there's so much you can do. It's like the world is your oyster. So you want to push yourself, but it's very important that as you go forward, you find a way to somehow balance things. Otherwise, like you said, health can get affected. I mean, not a lot of people talk about it. So I really appreciate you bringing that up and sharing what you went through personally. Let's talk a little bit about positive experiences. What were some of the good things that you experienced during your PhD?
Okay. Well, I did get to do loads of friends. First thing, debunking, I had the experience of have a very nice PI. Now I consider she's my boss, of course, but she's also my friend. There was a point during the pandemic that everybody left because, of course, it was a very difficult time. Some people went to the private pharmaceuticals, and I stayed in the lab, and it was only me and her. So I developed a very awesome, like a very close relation to her, and we became like very good friends. So we talk in social media as if we're friends. Of course, we have like the relationship inside the lab during the days. We have like a very professional relationship, but we also have like this balance, which makes more easy to do the PhD and get data. And she's a very passionate about research as well. So it did push me as well and make me be more like her. So it was a very good thing as well. That was one of the good experience I had in my PhD. I did get to do a lot of friends. Some of my lab mates did undergrad with me, masters, and then we started the PhD together. So I had like this continuity with friendship inside the lab. We have a very nice support environment, so we help each other a lot. We are 10 graduate students, so we have seven PhD students, 3 master students, and 6 undergrad students with 1 PI. So we are a lot in a very small lab, but we eat together, we laugh together, we do the essays together. When something is not going right, we help each other. So we produce like a very collaborative work. It was very nice. One of the good experience of doing my PhD was going to the United Kingdom. It was amazing. I developed my English skills. I developed my social and professional skills, of course. That was very amazing. I met friends with people from different parts of the world because science in the UK is very broad. And I met people from Mexico, India, and France, Italy, and Taiwan. And we are not very good friends still. I came back from the UK 2 months ago, and I plan to go back, and it was like the good experience, one of the best experience in my life. Get to find a partner there, which is one of the things I'm trying to go back as well. And yeah, if I was going to resume, it was like meeting people, have a very supportive and nice place to work, and having good experience and traveling. It was amazing.
You got a little bit of everything within your PhD program, which is lovely. That's one way to do it. Let's talk a little bit about, well, actually, we talked about how you maintain a balance. What is one PhD myth that you would like to debunk today, if you have one in mind?
Myth. That you need to publish a lot to be good. We have a very, I think that's not only here, I think it's all in the world. We are classified and see if you are very productive and good by the amount of publications we have. And I think it's more of how you produce the work, because sometimes you spend the 4 years doing on one work that is going to become, you find that the results that you were expecting wasn't that, and it's like probably a negative result. Like it's a result, still a result, but no journal wants to publish the negative results. So it doesn't want to publish something saying like, yeah, we thought that this is going to be different, but it is what people already said. They don't want that. They don't want the different stuff like saying that you found something. And normally, if you don't find something, is also a finding, and it's very difficult to do it. So sometimes people actually say that you spend all the whole 4 years and you didn't publish once, but you did a good work. You developed skills. You developed lab skills, professional skills, personal skills. So that's what matter, not the publication that goes in 12 pages. It's not going to define you.
Mm-hmm. I had a conversation with another guest about the same thing. Negative result is a finding because someone else won't use resources and do the same thing again. Once we put out the results there, people know, okay, well, this method of doing XYZ isn't going to work, so don't do it again, but improve on it. And also, thank you for mentioning about the number of publications. I truly believe it comes down to quality more than quantity when it comes to publications. Just focusing on the quality of the paper is more important than going after getting X amount of publications in X amount of years. I wouldn't want to support that.
I don't think it's like a very nice process of we still sometimes we try to go against it, but we live in a so consolidated academia and way of thinking that is very difficult to go against it. But I also agree with you that publishing is not only about publishing a discovery, it's about writing a good article explaining what you did so people actually can use your methodology to find something else. Like as sometimes you just like we use the firefly. I don't know if you know the firefly luciferase, which is like an enzyme that was found in fish that emits fluorescence and luminescence in biological systems, and it was a finding in marine biology that today is used in cell biology for humans. So it's like they wasn't thinking about it, but the discovery of it, the gene of it, was applied to something else. So even if you find like a negative result for your area, it can also be a positive result for another one, and actually emphasize and might be something to be further explored. So yeah, I do think we have to do journals that accept negative results data and publishing.
Yeah, I mean, someone has to change it, right? If we're gonna stick with the status quo, it's not gonna change.
At least we're trying to do some difference. At some point, it's going to be. It's like we have a saying here: if one by one, you're going to be full. So yeah, if you're going slowly and start to like build this knowledge about it, we're probably going to change it at some point.
Yeah, I'm glad we talked about that a little bit today. Wonderful. I wanted to go back to your research question in the area of research you're working on. What are some existing gaps in your area of research? What are some topics that a student might want to work in the next 3 to 5 years if they choose to complete a PhD in that same area you're working on?
Okay. Well, in my area, we work in drug discovery. So it's always going to be a gap. We are always going to need a new medicine. We're always going to need a new finding about it. Sometimes we don't find the compound that's going to be taken through the whole process and is going to arrive in the pharmaceutical in the pharmacies and in the hospitals to treat people. But the compounds that we find here now, they can be modified to be better, to have better solubility or to have a better pharmacological profile. So even though we've also every day trying to find new molecules, we're going to build the knowledge and give insights so people in the future can also continue to work with that and improve what we already found. So drug discovery is a very nice area because it's always moving, it's always growing, and I don't think it's going to come to an end because, for example, in my area, we work with infectious pathogens, infectious disease. The pathogens are always developing resistance. So even if it's bacteria, parasites, or virus, they are always developing resistance. So we also need to find new drugs that can be put in the place to be treating not new people. So yeah, I think that's the gap. We live drug discovery. It's a gap itself. It's a very difficult process. We have a consortium here in the Latin America, which is called DNDI, and they actually found that it takes almost 8 to 9 years for you to find one molecule that can be like from its discovery in models in basic research to go to clinical trials to phase 3. So between these 9 years, we have the gap. So what are we going to do? We need to try to find it. So we need people working in basic research, in the middle research, and in applied research as well. So drug research is going to be the gap itself. So someone who wants to work with, you just need to find the virus. For example, to my area, find a virus that attracts you and is available for you to work, because we have to see if the virus is containment virus of level 2 or 3 or 4. And if it's a 2, it's more easy to work. And then if it goes to 4, while it's increasing the value, it's also increasing the difficult to work with. And then see what other people worked about compounds that are good and try to work from that, like to increase the result or to produce a compound that is similar to what was already developed and try to build from that.
So much to do in that field if anyone's interested. We're coming to the end of the interview. What is one advice you would give to future and current PhD students?
Don't give up. I think it's my PI always says there's always going to be a place for good people to work. So if you continue to do your stuff, continue to develop yourself, to build your curriculum, but not by how much publication you have, but like the process you have, the methodology, the abilities you have, and doing the network, going to conferences, that's what you have to focus on it. And don't give up when you find a negative result or so you have a step back in your research. Don't give up, because it's not only about getting published, it's also about PhD is a developing program. It's a developing 4 years. So you're developing yourself. Of course, you're going to try to publish, to find something, you're going to try to find people, but you're also going to help yourself. So think about like a journey, and it's the journey might be a roller coaster and you might be frightened, but it's going to be, at the end, you're going to arrive to it. And if you continue to it, you're going to be good at it. You're going to have data, even if it's negative, but you know how to get to things. And it's what people want in academia or in the private sector. They want people to think. They want people to think and know how to go through problems. If you went through a PhD and you didn't find a problem, you're in your research, I don't think you're actually developing yourself. So how are you going to resolve problems if you never face the problem? So don't give up, and it's going to go to an end, and it's going to be amazing. I'm getting to the end, and I can say to you, it's amazing.
That is a lovely ending to our interview. Yes, everyone, don't give up. Sometimes we might feel like it's tiring. Take a break. Again, easier said than done. But it works. I mean, I went through it and I took breaks. I actually took breaks. I took time off whenever needed. So that's how it goes. And Igor, is there anything else that you would like to add and share with the audience?
I actually would like to thank you, Madara, for it. And it's lovely to be talking and seeing that what you're trying to do and what you're achieving with these interviews. It's nice to talk with people from different parts of the world, different PhD graduate programs, different PhD, different areas, so you can get like a different picture of what is happening and helping people to achieve their goals. So congrats on that.
Well, thank you so much, Igor, for your kind words. Really appreciate it. And thank you for being here, taking time off of your busy schedule. I know your defense is coming up. You're getting to the end of it. So congratulations on that. And I wish you all the best.
I wish you too. Thank you for the invite.
Thank you so much, Igor. And thank you everyone for joining us today for another episode of Sagacity. I hope this video was helpful to you. Until next time, take care. Bye-bye.